Alright, okay, good evening everyone. Okay, so we'll get started for today's session over here. Okay, now very quickly, to maybe keep you guys updated of the upcoming event that we're gonna have. We'll push that forward here, then we'll only jump into the market perspective. We'll be having a workshop this coming weekend on Saturday. Okay, so we'll be having it on a live session, physical workshop, as well as concurrently running it online. Okay, with the topic on sharing with you how you can actually empower portfolio with the EA trading via a PAM system as well. Okay, we have two sessions running. So if you take a look at this, it's gonna be physically in Penang as well as Bukit Petajam. Okay, if you are not based in Penang and you'd like to join, you are feel free to register as well, because we're gonna concurrently running it online, which means you can actually still join us via Zoom. Okay, so at Bukit Petajam, the event is gonna kickstart at 10:30 a.m. and then in the afternoon at 3:30, we're gonna have it again at Penang, right, at Moscow Event Place. Right. So if you're interested in this, just to very quickly share with you as well, quick teaser is that the PAM feature basically means that you don't really have to do much. You basically just tag your account to the master account, and whenever we trade, okay, you'll be also participating in that trade. And at the end of the day, okay, if we have some profits by the end of the month, okay, you're gonna get that profit as well with a simple profit share. Okay, so just very quickly update you on the results so far. We have October this month, we're running about 1.58 so far, but on average, you can expect maybe about 3 to 5% on a month-to-month basis. Okay, so if you'd like to find out a little bit more, okay, I'm not going to disclose too much on this today. Do join us in this session over here. Right. So with that said, let's take a look at what are some of the events to take note for the week. Okay, now this week here, generally we have a couple of things. First up, we have the Canadian side of things coming in tomorrow, right? CAD, CPI, year-on-year data. I think that's going to be important. Going to create some volatility on Canadian side of things. Then going into Wednesday, we have the pound CPI. Again, that's going to be important, right? And on Thursday, we have a little bit of the Aussie labor market. And to end off the week, on Friday, nothing really much, okay? So this week here, if you're trading related to Canadian, related to the pound, as well as the Aussie currency, okay, just bear in mind that there are some important data, and prepare for the volatility aspect as well. Okay, so with that said, let's jump into the chart and update you on some of the things to note. Okay, just very quickly, jump into BTC. This was a very nice little trade that we managed to actually take it early today, or I would say, it was actually a pending order last week, okay, last Friday. Now if you're not in this trade, of course, the market has moved, but I just want to very quickly also touch on, so that you can actually be aware in terms of like what was the reasoning, and hopefully you can actually benefit from something similar set up when you see in the future. Okay, so Bitcoin over here, you can see a couple of things that I've put in, right? We have basically from this top here, 1, 2, 3 in yellow or in orange, WXY, coming in towards the 50 and 618 Fibonacci area. Okay, and of course we have this bigger move here as well, WXY, 3-wave pullback, and we're naturally expecting upside, right? So when the market was pulling back towards the 50 and 618, we're looking at it at pretty corrective nature back then. What I did was to go down to the lower time frame, okay, and simply look at it from a perspective, okay, we seems to have a little bit of a double bottom in the key zone, with the higher time frame completed the three-way structure, and we'll basically just put in a breakout order if you can take out that neckline, right? It's a very simple setup, and with that, we kind of got that impulsive break, right? Very nice. And of course, as of today, we kind of continue to see the momentum going higher, right? So it's a very simple setup, but you can see the behind the scenes of like what went through are basically things that we cover almost every other week, right? Three-wave structure, key levels, wait for the setup to come to you. You tend to hear me repeat this a lot, but that's the essence of it. Okay. Another trade that we kind of get a very nice little move was gold. Okay. I mean, if you've been trading this, I did not manage to catch the entire move, obviously. But what we managed to catch was somewhere entry here, and then we kind of exited somewhere there, right? But it's still a decent move. Okay. I mean, we did not really capitalize on the entire thing, but still a pretty decent one, right? Again, just to walk you through, because this trade is done, you know, what goes behind it is, again, this pattern, which shouldn't be foreign, right? I mean, you guys who have been joining us on a regular basis, you know what we're looking at. We have a drop, we have a crawl. Okay, naturally we are looking for a reversal, and the setup is very straightforward. We look at a breakout trade, and the market gave us an impulsive move. We just managed it along the way. The reason for exiting here is because I'm seeing that, you know, this seems to be a little bit of a crawl. We're expecting a little bit of a deeper pullback, and therefore I exited earlier. But of course, that did not give us the pullback. The market just continued to move higher, right? Sometimes that happens, but again, even with exiting here, it's still a decent profit nonetheless, right? So that's on gold. Okay. So this two right now, I mean, on BTC, the trade is still running. But if you're not in it, don't jump in right now. You probably need to be a little bit patient and wait for the next setup. For gold here, I'm not in any trade at the moment. Okay. I personally think that this week, you may not get something within the week, right? But maybe the setup will come to us like next week if we can get a decent three-wave corrective pullback to give us something like that. Maybe somewhere around there would be a decent buy. Okay, but I think this will take some time, so I think go. Okay. I would say what is something more near term, okay, that we can definitely take into account would be the one that I have some tag at the side, right? So you can see over here, WTI is definitely one of it. S&P is definitely one of it, and of course, Aussie Yen is potentially another one that we can see a setup within the week. Okay, so I'll talk about the gold trade. Sorry, the oil trade here first, right? Or the oil potential trade. Okay, yeah, this is taking a little bit while. Now, again, very simple analysis, right? What we're seeing here essentially is from this high, we have a very nice little drop. Okay, and right now the market seems to be completing a 1, 2, 3 WXY, coming pretty close to that key zone. Okay, and of course this one here will probably need to update this to bearish. Okay, because last week primarily we were bullish looking at that push up, but going into this week here we'll start to rotate, with the focus of being bearish, right? So the idea is if you can get a little bit more to the upside here, we'll be more interested in the sell side of things. Okay, so you can see here, right, price move up nicely, reaching the target zone. You know, if you can't have any buy, then the suggestion is to take profit of it, and we'll start to see if we can get a sell. Now, it's not any, you know, you don't sell it anytime just because we're expecting the sell, but you still need to wait for the setup, right? And for us, a setup basically means if today I want to sell, I want to see if we can get a crawl. Okay, if I can get a crawl, then of course that's going to be straightforward. We're going to use the breakout, stop loss. Then if the price comes down and break off a minor low, that's our entry. Okay, so just now I cover, right, how we look at BTC buy trade, how we look at gold buy trade. Basically you inverse that, you flip that in the opposite, then these are basically where we look for sell. Okay, same principle. Okay, you wait for the setup to come to you, you wait for the pattern, then that's the setup, and then you take the trade, right? So I think crude oil here, you probably can wait a while, maybe give it another 1 or 2 days. By Wednesday, if things goes according to what we forecast, you may get a sell trade on crude oil. Okay, target wise, really up to individual. You know how far you want to take profit. You can look at conservatively bottom of the channel. You can go for like the recent low here, or you can look for extended target and just throw your stop if price continues with a strong momentum to the downside. Okay, so that's on crude oil. S&P here, we have a potential buy opportunity within the week. Okay, so what I'm seeing is we have a nice little push up. Right now it seems to do a little bit of a pullback, and ideally it seems to be corrective right now. Okay, so what we may have is that this may be our first push down. We may be developing our second move up, and then we'll wait for one more drop, and then that will be the buy. Okay, so S&P here would probably be a trade setup that comes to us somewhere closer towards Thursday or Friday. Okay, so do keep an eye on this. We are also entering a relatively strong season for S&P, right? What I mean by that is historically, this period within the calendar year, the S&P tends to perform a little bit better, right? So that's what I mean by seasonality. Okay, so overall, if this continue to come back down correctively, we have a buy trade on S&P. Right, so that's the setup to look into. And then Aussie Yen, I think quite straightforward, right? Again, pattern wise, we have a first drop. If we can get a corrective setup over here, okay, going into a crawl pattern, ideally, that would be a nice little sell. Aussie Yen is also a trade that I have with this setup over here, right? Again, it's a crawl. We trade the breakout of that. Okay, so if the market does give it another move like that, that's a scale in opportunity. Okay, which means we have shift stops to break even. We're gonna add another trade here, and if both of this trade run nicely, then perfect, right? We have one sell here, one sell here, and then we'll ride the move to the downside. Okay, so don't rush things through. I think for Aussie Yen, again, you probably want to give it like 1 or 2 days. Ideally, you want this to go corrective as well, right? In wave of 3, then that will be ideal. Yeah, so I think pretty clear, right? What you can do, of course, is that once you see a clear 3 wave getting into our zone, you can also drop down to the hourly and see if you can get an hourly crawl, and then use the crawl to enter the trade. That's perfectly fine as well. Right, so to me, the highest possibility of getting trades will be around this few: crude oil, S&P, and Aussie Yen. Okay. The others, really not the clearest of all. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so you probably want to just focus a little bit on the ones that I mentioned, the ones that were tagged in orange. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So generally, that's the few. Let me just very quickly scan through some other things and see if you have any worth noting. Okay. Okay, other equities you probably don't want to touch, right? Like Hang Seng here, we get a V. So I don't think that's going to be anything interesting that is going to set up for us this week. Okay, A50 here, nothing really much there as well. Okay, Nikkei 225. Okay, Nikkei 225 may have something, but this recent drop is pretty impulsive, so you naturally want to wait for a pullback. Okay, and then you wait for another drop. Ideally, the last drop here. Okay, so basically you're looking at it from a 3 wave perspective, right? 1, 2, 3. Ideally, the lower time frame as it approaches that fit area should give you a crawl. Then that would be a very nice little buy trade. Okay, so this one you probably need to wait a while, right? Because it's going to likely take some time to develop. So I don't think you're going to get something within this week. Okay. So generally, equity side of things, other than the S&P, the other global markets, you probably need to just be a little bit more patient. Okay, yeah. So hope that's clear. Okay, so other than this, let's just see if you guys have any other questions or any other instruments as well. Feel free to put it in. Pound Australia is something that initially we're looking at it, right? But right now, based on where price is and where the potential target is, I think this upside is not very interesting. It's pretty small. Okay, in terms of like risk to reward ratio, it's probably not the best place to be entering any buy trade. Okay, we're still expecting a bit more upside, but what I'll be more interested to see is that if we can get a crawl pattern here, I'll be actually quite interested to trade the pullback. Okay, because after a three wave move, the pullback can come in a little bit deep, and that would be a decent opportunity to capitalize on it before the next move, right? So just to give you some case in point, right? If you take a look at gold, not gold, BTC, right? You can see, right, pattern over here, 1 2 3, deep pullback towards 50%. Wow, we just got another push up. Okay, fantastic. Yeah, so we're saying that pound Aussie, okay, ignore that, right? A bit of a distraction, but what I was highlighting here is we have a three-wave push, and then after completed three-wave push, what happened was a three-wave pullback. Okay, so if you take a look at pound Australia, okay, we're basically developing the pattern of a three-wave push, and then after that we're expecting that three-wave pullback, right? So that's what I mentioned just now. Okay, since we're already so close to that zone, I'll be interested to see when price reach this zone, can I get a potential sell trade? Can follow, right? Okay. So again, the pattern tends to repeat itself over again. Okay, yeah. Yeah, so XTI is basically crude oil. It's just a different ticker symbol, I guess, right? But that's basically WTI. All right. Okay. Let me very quickly scan and see what happens on ETH if anything's happening. Right? I think overall, crypto market are basically pushing up, right? Okay, this is a very nice little spike. Okay, this is basically crypto total market cap, right? So if the market cap goes up, means that more money is flowing into the crypto market. Can get a very interesting spike. So suddenly there's a lot of people buying, and then people just close it off. The price comes down again. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of the smaller coins seems to be having the week, right? Even ETH right now and BTC probably, right? Yeah, something is interesting happening in market, right? It's not a small move, to be honest. That's a pretty big move. Let me just do a quick check. Yeah, that's like while we're running it, that's a good 8% volatility in that very short period of time. Okay, so something is definitely moving the market. But I think not too much of a concern. This is a futures market. It's a little bit delayed, right? Yeah. So basically, the market should come back down, right? Yeah, but nothing too much of a concern to me. For this trade that we kind of have it, we basically already shift stops to break even, right? So worst case scenario, we're just gonna get our break even, but ideally we want this to continue higher. Okay. Good. Okay, some pairs here: Euro AUD, Euro CAD, Dollar Franc. Okay, Euro AUD. Okay, so Euro AUD, yeah, basically since the last drawing, seems to be following exactly what we've anticipated. I think we're likely gonna continue a little bit more upside over there. And then after that, again, that's where you expect a deeper pullback. Okay. So for me, if you're looking for a buy, just be aware it's relatively short term, right? You're just capitalizing on that, and then after that, you would expect a bigger pullback before the bigger move back up. Okay, so I think short term upside, but you just be cautious on any buy, right? That's gonna be a very, very short term thing. Okay, EuroCAD would be a little bit, yeah, EuroCAD is interesting if you're into it. Okay, so last week we cover, wait for the pullback. I think the pullback is more or less done. Okay, can put in a little bit of a channeling technique here. Okay, use a bit of fibs. Okay, probably a little bit more downside. So the thing here is you can decide to go down to a lower time frame. Okay, and as the market approaches this key area around 1.43, ideally you want to start to see a crawl development, right? If you kind of get a crawl development here, then you can use a simple breakout trade, stop loss below that, and if the market breaks above it, that's your trade to buy. Okay, so you may need to just give it like another 2 days, maybe by late Tuesday, tomorrow, or Wednesday, you may get a trade on Euro Canadian. Okay, and of course, we have Canadian news, right? Just now we covered that, so that may create some volatility for us as well. Yeah, so I think for those of you who are trading EuroCAD, okay, definitely can add this into the list, right? For me, I don't really trade EuroCAD; it's not in my watch list, so I did not really bring this up. But for those of you who are keen, I think this is a pretty decent one to look out for. Okay, for potential buy around 1.43, wait for the crawl. Oh. Dollar franc. Okay, dollar franc basically is still patiently waiting for a decent size of a corrective pullback first. Okay, if you don't get that, I think there's no real setup. Okay, so we may get something like that, three-wave move. Okay, so just be patient, right? Just be patient for that pullback corrective pattern to set up before you take the sell. Okay, so I think this week unlikely you're gonna get much things from dollar franc. Okay, so of the three between Euro or EuroCAD and dollar franc, I think EuroCAD would be my top pick, right, among that three. Cool. Then we have pound yen. Pound yen, my take is ideally I want to see a little bit of a pullback and another dip before I be interested to buy, right? So essentially I'm visualizing this pattern. Okay, I'm visualizing this pattern. I want this pattern to develop, then I'll be interested to look out for buy trade here. Okay, I mean, if this gives me an sell opportunity, probably I'll consider it, depending on if I can get a decent entry chance in terms of risk to reward ratio as well. If it makes sense, maybe yes. But big picture, if I can get a move like that, okay, I'll be more interested to buy this, because then this will be definitely the biggest move that I can capitalize on, right? Among this move here. So yeah, that's my take on pound yen. So I'm not really paying too much attention this week, because this week likely is like the setting up phase, right? You give it time to develop, to build up something for us in the future. Okay, so when things are setting up, I'll just leave it aside, and then I'll focus on things like, you know, maybe the odd yen a little bit more, closer towards something that I can get a trade of it. You know, or even crude oil here, maybe by Wednesday I can get a sell trade. Yeah, those are the things I'll pay a little bit more attention in. Okay, so I hope it's clear so far. That's a good. Good. Any other questions that you guys have? Okay, now I did not mention just now. Okay, but let me just get the dates up. Okay, 22nd, okay. I did not mention just now, right? But just now we kind of mentioned at the start about this workshop here on the 21st, right? Which is a Saturday. We are also running a full day workshop. Now this workshop here on the 21st, this one here in particular, is free. Okay, meaning you just need to RSVP. Whether is it you want to join it during the offline event or you want to join it online via Zoom, you just need to RSVP, right? So if today you want to join online, you can WhatsApp the team, okay, to get the Zoom link, right? You should just need to let them know, oh, I'm interested in this, but I can't attend it in Penang physically. I would like to join via Zoom. Then they'll actually drop you the Zoom link. Okay, so if you are interested in this event, it's free. You just need to RSVP. Okay, so if you're watching on YouTube, basically I have the link at the description below to click and then WhatsApp, right? You just need to click that link. It'll bring you to WhatsApp to the team, right? We are also running a full day workshop on the 22nd, right? Which is the following day. Let me just write it down, okay? On the 22nd, which is a Sunday, okay, it's a full day workshop on Elliott Wave. Okay, now this workshop, we are also planning to run offline and online, but because of the nature of the content and the nature of the delivery, obviously if you can attend it on a physical live event, it will be the best. Okay, so of course if you're in Penang and if you'd like to attend this, we'll strongly encourage you to attend it offline. Okay, online, of course, you'll be able to hear it, you'll be able to participate in it, but the practical aspect becomes a little bit more challenging, right? Because I won't be able to be there to really monitor you. Okay, so this is going to be happening full day, right? So it's going to be from morning all the way until evening, and it's not free, right? I mean, for pre-existing clients, those that the team has already contacted you, you probably understand the details already. But this is more like we're opening up the remaining few seats for those of you who are interested in. And if you want to, you can join us, okay? But this is not going to be free. So for those of you who are interested to find out a little bit more, of course, if you can make it on that day, feel free to also PM the team, right, via WhatsApp. Okay, then they'll fill you in with more information about this particular workshop. Likely this is gonna be like one of the last few that I'm gonna do, right? Because nowadays, I seldom run kind of like full day workshop. Okay, yeah. So if you're really serious into picking up some of this Elliott Wave analysis skill set, okay, you definitely want to grab that opportunity. Okay, because I never know, like in the future, maybe I'm not gonna run it anymore. Okay. Good. Okay, so those are just very, very quick updates on the event. Good, I see a couple of last questions coming in over here. We have HSI and A50 bearish right now. Can I consider a sell? I wouldn't sell, because yes, it's bearish, but again, we are getting pretty close to a certain area, right? And the risk to reward ratio may not be like the best. Okay. Yeah. So if you kind of get a corrective pullback here, you obviously you want to focus on sell if you get that, right? But be very, very careful because this sell here can be a short-term thing, right? So it can be just this move and that's it, done, and then it will probably bounce from there on. They might get some reaction. So yes, you're right. It's bearish bars. Okay. You can look for sell, but the sell is going to be short-term sell. Okay, just be aware of that. I think A50 and Hang Seng, right? So basically these two are the same. Hang Seng here, we clean up this here as well, right? Hang Seng here, if you're going to sell it, probably is about the same thing. If you can't get a corrective pull here. Now this sell, you need to be careful because this can just drop a little bit to complete this tree wave and then go. Okay, so I wouldn't really suggest to sell this here, right? Yeah, just take note, right? Again, not all sell setup are equal. Some are higher probability, some are just valid. You probably want to skip those valid ones and then focus on the high probability setups, right? Yeah, so that's my take on Hang Seng, right? Just be very careful if you're gonna sell it. as I mentioned, this can just simply develop into something like that and still go back up. Okay. Aussie yen, I think we covered about it already, right? I can mention that that's one of the trades that I'm personally looking out for as well. Aussie Canadian, yeah, nothing there. Okay, honestly, Aussie Canadian, you don't want to pay too much attention to it this week. Okay, we're pretty much getting very close to the bottom. Okay, and you know, any kind of sell here would not be wise. It's not worthwhile. Okay, but if let's say we can start to see maybe some kind of a crawl pattern develop, then yeah, maybe the buy will be worthwhile. But a crawl needs time to develop, and by the time this completes, we're likely gonna be going into next week. Okay, so I think this week nothing much is gonna set up for you, but if you come back on Aussie CAD next week and you see a crawl, you may get a buy. Okay, so that's my take on Aussie Canadian. Last one here I see is Aussie Kiwi. Okay, Aussie Kiwi right now the pattern seems to suggest downside. Okay, and of course we're kind of getting close to this zone. But it's still worthwhile, right? Because you can see if today we're looking at a... Where's my line? Oh, here. Okay, if today we're looking at a potential sell, again, you always just ask yourself, is the risk to reward ratio worthwhile, right? Of course, we are expecting the price to have some reaction around that zone because that's pretty crucial. So then you make your assessment, right? If today, if this gives you a crawl, okay, on the lower time frame, maybe on a H1, you can get in with a sell trade on a H1 breakout, stop loss above that, and then your target is down there. Okay, if the risk reward is 3.5, definitely that makes sense, right? But depending on how the market is going to give you a setup, okay, if let's say today the market decides to just drop, you know, from here, and then you don't really get to sell at the top of crawl, and then this forms a little bit of a different setup here, a flag, okay, then you then need to make an assessment, right? If you're gonna look for the breakout here, okay, that risk reward becomes 1.8. Is it still worthwhile to actually execute it? Right, so I hope you get where I'm coming from, right? So whether to be looking at the sell or not sometimes also depend on the risk to reward ratio. Okay? But this pattern itself seems to suggest that we may get one more drop. Okay, the thing here to check is what would this setup be? Is it going to be worthwhile taking the sell, or is it not worth taking that sell? Canna. Okay, so that's on Aussie New Zealand. Cool. Okay, not sure what's happening. Probably we'll see some news on Bitcoin later on. Yeah, that spike is really something. Okay, good. But anyway, okay, so I hope today's kind of like session here also give you some ideas about, you know, what are things that we're looking out for. Okay, what are some of the methods and processes that I use to look out for trades, execute them, and of course manage them. And of course the events, the upcoming events on this weekend that we're gonna have. For those of you again that are interested, do make sure you RSVP. Okay, the Saturday event is free. So as long as you're interested, you can make it. You know, feel free to RSVP, join us. For those of you who are serious and want to join us for the full day workshop on Sunday, just know that it's not free, but it's very affordable. Okay, basically I would confidently say no one in the market actually have such affordable training. And that's also the reason why I don't usually run it alone, right? Yeah, so for those of you interested, just feel free to reach out to the team and ask for more information. Okay, they'll be able to assist you from there. Good, so that's all from me for today. All the best for your training this week here as well, and as usual we're gonna see you, you know, for those of you who are joining, we're gonna see you in the event. If not, then we'll see you guys next week. Okay, good. That's all. Bye bye.